Love those upbeat dance records. At number 29, up from 33, we got Sweet Sensations, their high-tech dance version of Love Child, the Supremes record. Sweet Sensations, the girl groups just dance group, excuse me, girl groups producing all this great dance music in the late 80s, early 90s. You got Expose, Point of No Return, one of my favorite songs from that era. God, what a lovely record, Point of No Return. Such passion in that record. There was the Cover Girls. Remember the Cover Girls? I'm trying to remember Promise Me. And God, I got the melody of the song in my head, but I can't remember the name of it just off the top of my head. Because of You by Cover Girls in late 87 and 88. And there was another one, the group that Company B, Fascination in Full Circle. And now we got Sweet Sensations with Love Child. Before I go into the group, I want to talk about the origins of the song Love Child. It was written by a group of producers and songwriters of Motown. Went to number one for the Supremes. Here's what happened. Supremes, they kind of, by 1967, the Supremes, well, they had so many number ones that if they had a song that went to number two or number nine, that wasn't considered as successful. And they had a Reflections, a Psychedelic Reflections, which went to number two. In and Out of Love in 1967 made top 10. They had a couple after that that didn't make top 20. Berry Gordy, the head man, the CEO of Motown, we got to put the Supremes back on track. We got to put them back on number one. So it's called the Pontchartrain Hotel in Detroit. Berry Gordy assembled a group of Motown songwriters and producers, including Frank Wilson, Deke Richards. Oh my goodness, Deke Richards, Deke. He was in the production team that cranked out all those early hits by the Jackson 5. He was partly responsible for those hits by the Jackson 5 early in 1970. Stop the Love You Save, ABC. He was part of that. And also got Henry Cosby in this group, Pam Sawyer, who co-wrote If I Were Your Woman by Gladys Knight and the Pips in 1971. And guess who else was in this group of songwriters? R. Dean Taylor, the guy who did Indiana Wants Me in the fall of 1970. He was a songwriter at Motown, and some people consider him an underrated songwriter at Motown back in the late 60s. Well, anyway, these songwriters, they got together, and instead of writing just a pot boiler, just a basic love song, they went for something controversial about a woman who's telling her boyfriend not to pressure her into having sex because they wound up with a love child growing up in poverty. And this is not standard fare for the Supremes. But the song Love Child went to number one. It toppled the Beatles' Hey Jude out of the top spot on Billboard's Hot 100. Hey Jude, number one for 8 or 9 weeks in 1968, replaced by Love Child in the fall of 1968 by the Supremes. And by the way, these group of songwriters, they were called the Clan at the time, late 60s. Now, let's get the Sweet Sensation. 3 girls, it's 2 sisters. They're from the Lower East Side in New York City. Mary and Margie Fernandez, and 2 sisters, and they brought in, excuse me, don't tell me my voice is crapping out on me. They brought in Betty LeBron as the lead vocalist. Killer vocals. God, she could sing. The woman could sing. And off their debut album, and we're talking about a 1988-1989 timeline, Hooked on You, there was Sincerely Yours, and Never Let You Go, which was a big dance hit. And then they came out with their second album. But before their second album, Mary Fernandez left the group, and she was replaced by Sheila Vega. And they released their second album. Love Child was on their second album. Went to number 13 on Billboard's Hot 100. Excuse me. Good thing this is the last video I'm making for tonight. The other hit off the album went to number 1. It was If Wishes Came True. It knocked Mariah Carey's Vision of Love out of the number 1 spot. and they took the top spot for a week or two on Billboard's Hot 100. And excuse me, did some research on this album. It turns out that Betty LeBron, she did the lead vocals and the backing vocals, and another woman named Audrey Wheeler did the backing vocals on this album. So it looks like the only group member, if I got this right, who sang on this album, on this record, was Betty LeBron. But don't quote me on that. Well, but you can quote me on this, though. Got the song at number 29 on Billboard. Well, on my fantasy playlist, rather. Number 29 on my fantasy playlist of April 23rd, 1990.